Harish Mehta is the co-founder and first elected chairman of NASSCOM, the founder of Onward Technologies, and now also the author of a best-selling book called The Maverick Effect. If you had to distill your learnings over the years into three key points, three takeaways for young aspiring entrepreneurs, what would those key learnings be?
First, definitely dream big. There is nothing less than that. That to me is very clear that you have to take your moonshots, whatever you call it. You have to dream big. To give an example of NASSCOM, when we were $50 million, 100, whatever, we started dreaming of $1 billion as an industry. Even Mr. Vittal, who was a DOE secretary at that point in time, when we were trying to sell our vision of the industry to him, he said, "Do you know how many zeros are in $1 billion?" But we said, no, it's a $300 billion pie. We are here. We need to solve these obstacles. Then we can go to reach $1 billion. When we reached $1 billion, we came with the next goal of $50 billion by 2008 or something. When we were 50 billion, we started dreaming of 100 billion, 100 to 200. Today we are at 250. We are now dreaming of 350. Somebody is dreaming of 500. Different. So unless you dream big, and then as we say, fold the future back, you work back and then you let it loose, suddenly you'll realize that you need every stakeholder in the ecosystem, what they are supposed to do. So like in NASSCOM's case, once we realize we'll require, assuming this unfolds the way we are saying it, we will need 10x the number of people. So we wrote the first draft of 20 Indian states' IT policies. So they adopted the IT policy, implemented it. So let's say when the Java wave came, suddenly we had 20 engineering colleges giving us engineers who are trained on Java. Maybe a raw material, but it was good enough for us to get started with. So like that, dreaming big helps in terms of entire planning strategy. The second lesson I would say is build a trustworthy environment that you are in. I have seen it at NASSCOM that by building NASSCOM becoming an, you can say, independent, neutral, transparent, trusted catalyst with the policymakers and all other stakeholders and the industry, we could contribute 30% compounded growth over 30 years. Now, Rakesh Jhunjhunwala, he used to say, if you get 18% compounded growth, you are a king. If you do 21%, you are an emperor. Here, industry delivered 30%. Now, I believe I'll give major credit to trustworthy environment. So because of the trust we had between policymakers and us, no complex regulations were brought in to monitor our industry. Once there was a trust between us and them, our entrepreneurs were ready to take risk. They knew the government is behind them. They will support us. So they ventured out to a new country in the world to sell services, whatever or new practice they need to develop, they'll do. So they were reasonably comfortable, very innovative from that perspective, having a comfort factor that here are the policymakers, they'll trust us and we can work with them. So like from that perspective, building a trustworthy environment where, let's say, real estate industry, one of the stakeholders, they trusted our strategic report. And that strategy report would project all the numbers for next 5 years, plus all the ifs and buts also, where the risk factors and so on. Then up to the user to decide what it means. So it helped real estate planners plan their activities. So what happens is everyone grows in the process. So I would say being a trusted partner or trusted catalyst is very critical. So that was the second lesson. And the third lesson I like to give to young entrepreneurs especially is that when you are young and you are at the peak of your career, you should invest 10% of your time. I'm saying at the peak of your career, not when you have made money and you donate money. And with the peak of your career, spend 10% of time in building an ecosystem beyond your company. The same enthusiasm and energy you have for the exponential growth of your company, you invest the same energy to get the exponential growth of the ecosystem around you. Selflessly, collaboratively. Keeping India first. With a single voice. So when you put these parameters together, what you do is magic. I can give us one story how this can help. And in the process, what happens is you start believing in theory of abundance, where when you contribute at an ecosystem level, the pie gets bigger. Once the pie gets bigger, you have existing players can grow faster, as well as allow hundreds of new ones to take part. So that's the philosophy behind it, that building an ecosystem and growing the pie, everyone grows in the process. I don't know how much time we have. How much do you have?
Yeah, I have time. Absolutely.
I'll tell you a story here where would be very relevant from that perspective, that it's not the money, it's the idea, creative idea that is required of that entrepreneur in building the ecosystem. So going back in early 90s, MNCs saw the performance of our industry. They were amazed at the quality of work IT industry was doing. So they came back to us and said, would you propose to the government of India to allow us to come to India with 100% ownership or back office operation? In those days, they were not allowed to have 100%. Maximum they were allowed was 40%. I said because of back office work, confidential work, and it's something which we will never farm out. So we would prefer to do it on our own. Would you allow us to set up a 100% unit? Now at NASSCOM, when people are young, contributing about 10% of their time for the industry, this came up for discussion. Now all the fierce competitors, TCS, Infosys, Wipro, around the table. Now what do? So first reaction was negative, because the natural protection was given by the government. So why should we invite our so-called competitor to India? Plus we were worried that they'll take away our people by paying twice the salary. Plus we were worried that even the existing business we are doing with them, under the garb of back office, they'll shift it to themselves. So we'll be left holding the bag. But on the other end, because we had created that trusted environment, I call it, where the creative juices flow of the entrepreneurs, somebody said, no, but we will help, we'll gain a lot by learning from them. The quality process, and ours are more homegrown quality processes. So we can learn from by they come here, their quality processes, from infrastructure to development to even marketing and everywhere. It's a great learning for us. And plus, if we build in their mind that India is a place to do business with, the other areas which are not given to us may start opening up. And that pie is huge pay. So it's an informed risk we should take. But still, there was a discomfort. Why should we allow them to come to India? They're not spending any money. It's only discussions at different meetings taking place. Same time, there was a debate in USA. Who is us? Because the Japanese companies had made major inroads in US at that time. That is Sony and I don't know, the two Sony, Toyota, some of those companies. And against IBM, Motorola, Whirlpool, American companies. It's a big debate. Who is us? Who is an American? So same question came to our council. Okay, who is us? Who is NASSCOM? So in that process, somebody came up saying that whoever develops human capital of India is us. And who doesn't is not us. So allowing MNCs to come in will definitely help build India's human capital. So we must allow that. We again went back to all the players of the industry. They all agreed, yes, we should go ahead and support this. We went to the government of finance ministry. We said we would like them to come. We recommend you allow 100% ownership to MNCs. One of the senior officers said, "Vapas desh ko bechne aa gaye." But there's a colonial mindset. East India Company was allowed to come in and then they took over. the country. So here they are afraid that MNCs will allow them, they'll take over and whatnot. Somebody said, "Tum kiske dalal ho?" So we were treated very differently with such proposal. But we were ready with the data, facts, analysis, why we should allow them to come in. And they approved. They allowed them to come in. Now that single decision, as today we have 1,800 R&D centers in India. They employ 1.2 million software engineers. Some of them are already representing the board and co-creating future for their parent companies. And there's an excellent symbiotic relationship between that segment and the IT industry. Both grew over the last 30 years in the process, building capabilities, and as you know, how the exchange that takes place among various players of the industry. So when that 10% contribution, creative juices flowing, keeping India first, and taking a hard call, not afraid of competition, not afraid of multinationals. So that confidence comes when you are young and which is what you do it for your company anyway. We would like that to come at an ecosystem level. Once the ecosystem comes, it develops everybody can grow in the process. So that will be my third message. Invest 10% of your time at the peak of your career in strengthening the ecosystem.